This morning, Congresswoman-elect Mary Peltola is starting her day with us here on Morning Rush. I know you have not had a lot of sleep, but I'm sure you're running on excitement and adrenaline. So congratulations. What do you think gave you the edge, particularly, let's face it, because you were running against Sarah Palin, and she is a household name, had the backing of Donald Trump. Why did the good folks of Alaska pick you and make a little bit of political history in the process?
Well, I've run thank you, Rob. Good morning. I've run a very clean campaign. I've run a campaign letting people know I'm pro-jobs, pro-family, pro-fish, and pro-choice. I think there is a tremendous appetite across Alaska for a candidate who sticks to the issues and is really keeping it on track and talking about what Alaska needs and Alaskan challenges and opportunities.
The fascinating thing beyond your victory there in Alaska was that this was the first time that the state was using that ranked choice voting system. So it's not the Republican Democratic primary like we have in most of the other states. People go and kind of rank, and then if your first choice is out, the second choice gets the vote, so on and so forth. And that's how you came up on top. Some people don't like the system. Sarah Palin herself has been critical of it. But what do you think, now that you've been through the process, what do you think of that new ranked voting system? Is it something you'd like to see beyond Alaska and spread to other states?
Well, I am optimistic about ranked choice voting. When this was a ballot initiative in Alaska 2 years ago, I voted for it with the high hopes that it would minimize partisanship and really minimize the role of the closed primary, which I believe has really brought us to a place where we are now having people try to out-Democrat each other and out-Republican each other to the point where we have extreme and sometimes even fringe candidates winning seats and then are not really able to negotiate or try to build compromise or consensus when they become a lawmaker. And I am very, very optimistic that we can get to a place where we have very middle-of-the-road candidates representing the majority of people who are middle of the road.
You will be sworn in the middle of this month and taking over a seat that has been in Republican hands for a long time. There's going to be a lot of chatter today about what your victory does and does not say about Democrats' chances in November. Should we, in the media and pundits and what have you, what should we take away from your race and perhaps what it may signal about the political temperature of the country ahead of November?
Well, I'm a pretty superstitious person, and I don't believe in getting ahead of myself. I am very, very thankful and grateful for the people of Alaska who've put their trust in me to finish out the remainder of Congressman Young's term. But I am also running in November, and I don't want to jinx anything for the November race, either for Alaska or the rest of the country.
Gotcha. And again, thanks for pointing that out. This election was just filling the remainder of the late congressman's term. You're running again for the full term in November. Thank you for clarifying that as well. Let me ask you this: what is number one or number two on your agenda once you're there on Capitol Hill for this short term, and perhaps if you win for a full term?
Well, for the short term, I'm definitely trying to manage expectations. For so many important issues, it takes about 10 years to get enough momentum to really make big changes. So 4 months is certainly a very compressed time frame. I'm going to be focused on meeting my new colleagues and forging new relationships and building partnerships and getting a lay of the land these first 4 months.
You said in a recent interview after your win about what you think your win may mean. You said, I think it also reveals that Alaskans are very tired of the bickering and the personal attacks. Who was doing all that bickering and launching personal attacks in this race from your viewpoint?
Well, I think that some of my fellow I don't want to say opponents, but some of my fellow candidates, I think that there's just a tendency to do that. And I think for some folks, it's just almost muscle memory to go into attack mode and really tear down your opponent. But that is not something that I think anybody sees as productive. I think of it as a complete waste of time. I think it's just so much more important to stay on the issues that matter to Alaskans.
And listen, you and I both know you're going to walk into a very divided capital that represents a very divided country. Everyone new comes in optimistic and feeling good about the country and their prospects, and maybe business can be done differently. But it's a tough time in this country for a lot of reasons. To be realistic about it, what are you going to contribute to that conversation that can take down the temperature? Do you think it's important we take down the temperature? And in light of everything right now, is that even possible?
I do. I think it's critical that we turn down the temperature. And I served in the Alaska State Legislature and the State House for 10 years. I am very accustomed to working across party lines and seeing people really as people and not as a partisan label. I agree with you, especially the last 5-10 years. We've really gotten to a contentious place across the United States. And I think it's important that I just start with myself and model civility and respectfulness and just work with people as people. And, all I can do is start with myself.
And last question before we let you go. Anything you'd like to say to Sarah Palin or Donald Trump this morning?
Well, good morning. And I have a lot of respect for Sarah Palin. She and I served together when I was in my last 2 years in the State House here in Alaska. She served as our state's governor. And I certainly have respect for her and her supporters. And I'm looking forward to working with her.
All right. Democratic Alaska Congresswoman-elect Mary Peltola, thank you so much for joining us on what's a very busy morning. Best of luck to you down the road, and thanks for giving us some time here on Morning Rush. Great pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Rob. Good morning.